Hello, let's talk about yet another portable digital to analog converter, and once again it will be made by Shanling. It's the more affordable of the two recent models, it's UA3. I'd really like to review UA5 in some near future, but for now I've got UA3. It's a pretty modern digital to analog converter with a balanced schema with two AK4493 digital to analog converters and two separate amplifiers. So it delivers more than 100 milliwatts for 32 ohms load from the single-ended output and more than 200 milliwatts for the balanced out. At the same time, of course, it supports almost all modern standards like DSD, high-res and so on, and it's pretty convenient in terms of design and other stuff. Retail price is $110, and that's probably all about this device. Let's have a closer look. Package is small, pretty minimalistic, looks fancy, so additional specs printed here. And let's open the box. It's a flip box, typical for some new Shanling products. In the box you'll get a USB Type A to USB Type-C adapter and a short USB Type-C to USB Type-C cable, and a pair of high-res stickers, and some manuals, warranty cards, so not that interesting. In terms of design, it's a pretty typical device, slightly bigger than smallest dongles, but definitely far from being big or something like that. Probably the size is really close to cigarette lighter. And logic is also really simple here. You adding USB type, you connecting USB Type-C here. Here you're connecting single-ended or balanced headphones. And also you've got three control buttons, nice and clicky. Also there is a LED indicator, so basically, you know, simple, straightforward device, nicely built, of course made of metal, so pretty pleasant to feel, to look and so on. In terms of power consumption, it's about average among such devices. In my really subjective tests, it increased power consumption about 2 times comparing with listening without digital to analog converter, but actually it's a nice price for the increased sound quality, and it definitely gives that. And of course about the sound, so basically it delivers typical Shanling sound with slightly warm coloration, but at the same time they made a step forward in terms of naturalness and resolution. While their older digital to analog converters sounded warmer, and because of that they were losing some of micro contrast and details. Here you're getting pretty decent detalization, but at the same time it will saturate sound with harmonics and will add a bit of additional weight, but without losing crispness. So here they found a nice balance. And of course all that coloration and sound done not via some changing in frequency response. I didn't measure it, of course, but I'm pretty sure that in terms of frequency response it's absolutely linear and flat. But you'll get a bit of additional weight on the low frequencies, making bass more weighty, more rich, and slightly more saturated. It's not trying to be super fast or super tight or super precise, but control is good, depth of course is good, and resolution is normal. Not great, but also pretty good, and at the same time it sounds pretty fun and with good sense of realism. Some instruments that goes to the low frequency domain can be a bit exaggerated in terms of size, but it's because of additional weight, and you get like more sense of realism in many cases. But especially I like this digital to analog converter with electronic music. So for example with Tempest by Juno Reactor, it's my typical track for test for the deep bass, because it has a lot of deep bass which goes from left to right and vice versa at the introduction, and then in the main part it has engaging dynamic bass line, and all that low frequencies are rendered really well. With realistic acoustic instruments like Musica Nuda, for example, Casey Abrams and so on, also double bass sounds pretty great, a bit hyper realistic but still pleasant. It's definitely tuning for those who like non-natural, non-flat linear color. Mid frequencies have good resolution, but at the same time with zero focus on the micro contrast, of course, but still amount of details you'll get is pretty nice. Good dynamics, pretty great distribution of weight, especially for the male vocals. They getting a bit of additional weight and authority and presence, but female vocals are rendered nicely too, thanks to the good treble here. They definitely did the work with treble compared to the previous digital to analog converters. Imaginary stage not huge, but above average in width and in depth, and depth is almost as good and as width, so it's not the common situation for the slightly warmer sounding digital to analog converters. And it's not super critical for the quality of record, so it's a bit forgiving, but still, of course, better material will be better. And instruments sound with a hint of additional weight and body, but they, of course, don't lose their characteristics and signature. And as an example for the mid frequencies, I've got Aqualung by Jethro Tull album Aqualung and track Cross-Eyed Mary, and it's absolute classic. I think there is not much sense in describing this track, but it sounds nice and really analog. That sound, that cold vintage analog, perfectly suiting this digital to analog converter, and for this music it gives really enjoyable results. And as I already said, treble was improved and it's a step forward, so it became more crisp, more clean and clear compared to the previous Shanling digital to analog converters. But still, it's not super sharp, not super sibilant. Extension is pretty good. Of course, layering is almost absent, but it's what you can expect in this price range. But amount of overtones is nice, as well as resolution, and this time they didn't soften the treble, and it helps this device build a better stage, sound more realistic, and saturate tracks with a lot of small nuances and airiness. And as an example here, it's Hiromi Uehara, Dilemma, great track and great piano work, nice record quality, and well recorded piano means that it requires a lot of overtones to sound realistically. Of course, it's lacking layering and that audiophilic small nuances, but still sounds pretty good for this price tier, and for such a compact device you definitely get that amount of realism, and additional weight we actually will highlight a bass line on this track. And actually, speaking about the pairings, it gives you a good black background for the sensitive in-ear monitors, but for the full-size headphones it will require something with medium or higher sensitivity. Of course, it's not created to drive really tough to drive headphones, but it's definitely a logical decision from the Shanling, and actually sensitive and medium in terms of sensitivity headphones, it drives pretty decently. And speaking about the comparisons, to be honest, I don't see much sense in doing this here, because Shanling have their own distinguished sound, and it's slightly on the warmer side of things, and it's warmer than typical DACs of this segment, like Hydis, Fio, Ibasso, and so on. But at the same time, it's making step towards more realistic and more technical sound, which was a really good thing here. And if you're looking for Shanling sound, it's definitely a good offer, and it's better than their previous solutions. I really hope that in some near future I will test UA5 too. So thank you for listening, thank you for your attention, and of course have a nice day.